Good evening, I'm Aaron Drawhorn. Thanks for joining us now at 10. We're going to begin with breaking news. Beaumont police on the scene of a homicide, the fifth one so far this year. KFDM 6 News is live. Tiffany Murphy on Beaumont's north end. Tiffany, what are police telling you?
Yeah, Aaron, that's right. The fifth homicide so far this year. Investigators not releasing a lot of information at this time. That's twofold because they are still in the infantile stages of this investigation. And also they tell us there is a language barrier as well. I'm going to step out of the way and let our photojournalist get a closer look here. 911 dispatchers got a call just before 7 o'clock tonight after officers arrived to this home at Charles near East Lucas. They went inside and found a male victim who had been stabbed to death and arrested a male suspect. He is in custody and being processed at this hour. Police tell us this is a family violence situation. We spoke with Beaumont police officer Carol Riley earlier today, who tells us family violence cases like this one are some of the hardest and most dangerous for officers. She says it is their job to make sure the victim and the family get justice, and that is why officers and investigators are still on the scene at this hour and plan to be for additional hours to come. Of course, as they release more information, we'll be sure to update it and on air and online. Reporting live in Beaumont's North End, Tiffany Murphy, KFDM 6 News.
You're looking live tonight, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where after weeks of anticipation in Minneapolis, the wait is over. Former police officer Derek Chauvin convicted on all charges in the death of George Floyd, second and third degree murder, as well as second degree manslaughter. You can see it is quiet there at Government Center. It certainly was not earlier. Tonight, Spotlight on America, National Investigative Correspondent Josie Stearman in the courtroom when the crowd heard the verdict.
A swell of emotion, jubilation in the courtyard outside the Hennepin County Government Center as a crowd of hundreds heard the three words they've been waiting for since May 25th, 2020.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. Third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. Second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty.
Inside the courtroom, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, now the one in handcuffs, wearing a mask and showing no emotion as he was led away in anticipation of his sentencing June 15th. Outside, crowds in celebration under the watchful eye of National Guard troops perched on the ledge of the heavily guarded courthouse, those below honoring George Floyd's memory, with signs, dancing, even parked at the center of the spontaneous gathering, a car covered in artwork bearing signatures and messages of hope, with those in attendance adding their stamp. But even with the joyful mood and acknowledgement, Wednesday's decision is just the beginning.
No one verdict is going to bring justice to the communities, in black and brown communities, especially in the black community. And so although it feels good right now, there's still just so much more justice that needs to be served for all the folks who have been murdered at the hands of police.
Across town, outside of the now infamous Cup Foods site where Floyd was murdered, another crowd crying out with relief, where Floyd once cried out for his mother with his final breath. Reaction pouring in from strangers who never met the man at the center of one of the nation's most watched trials.
Today, we are able to breathe again.
As the family and friends who knew him best mourned their loss, keeping their focus on the fight moving forward.
This is a victory for those who champion humanity over inhumanity, those who champion justice over injustice, those who champion morals over immorality. Justice for George means freedom for all.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Josie Stearman.
And new tonight, one of George Floyd's lifelong friends, speaking with KFDM 6 News tonight. Cyril White played basketball alongside George Floyd, even recruited Floyd to play hoops in a travel league. White spoke at Floyd's funeral last summer. He has been watching the trial in Minneapolis from gavel to gavel.
I was sitting at home in my home office watching the trial coverage, as I have been every day since it started.
What was your reaction when you heard those words guilty 3 times?
It was a huge sigh of relief. to just have a little bit of restored faith in the justice system, and that what everybody saw before their eyes, the judge rendered a statement to go along with what the world saw. So it felt really good.
And as soon as the verdict was read, KFDM's Angel San Juan took to the streets to get local reaction to the verdict. Southeast Texans were not afraid to let their voices be heard.
I'm glad that justice was served. We have a lot of progress that still needs to be made in this country, but I'm glad to see that justice was served.
Of course, they're here to protect us, but they also, when they're protecting us, they also need to be mindful of how aggressive they can be. To the point where not only has one life has been lost, but another life has to, his quality of life will not be there for the officer.